what are some elements that became included in it that surprised you, or things that you ended up leaving off the table? As you said, it could be a 10-part series. So what are those things that ended up in it that you never imagined, or that you left on the floor that is something that you thought at the start would be included?
I mean, I can say for sure, just in a general sense, our initial approach was going to be, there were versions of this film that were leaned way more into the kind of meta aspect of it. In fact, a lot of beginnings of the film was this footage of Tina going to watch early workshop of the musical. And this idea of this woman kind of nearing 80 years old, sitting down to watch the story of her life performed back to her was super interesting to us. And, we had a lot of different versions where that was the beginning, and then we would mix in footage with the film and the musical, and it got very kind of complicated in a way that I think we ultimately decided it doesn't need to be this complicated, and that meta aspect of it was there just naturally. So that's one thing in terms of, how we saw it at the beginning. I know TJ will probably have some things too, but I will say for myself, I didn't ever think we would put in the like love story, the her and Erwin meeting. Like on paper, that's like a really like kind of, I don't know. It does not lend to me and TJ's sensibilities to be like, and then she fell in love. But it was just so, number one, it was just like interviewing her, and the way she lit up and talking about that was like, oh, we have to include this. This is, there's so much joy in her. But it also just felt the logical, it's not the end of the film, but a logical kind of stop near the end of the film, so to speak, that we had to take. But I don't know, TJ, is there other?
I mean, but that's just to underscore what you're saying about, so much of the film is, it's kind of, on the surface, you could say this is a film about trauma, but it's actually about a film about, maybe it's just a flip of perspective. It's a pursuit of love, right? And Erwin's story is the beginning of starting to kind of wrap up that aspect of the storyline. Just, find a pursuit of love within a partnership that you can trust, love of self, love of your own narrative. And it felt like it was a naturally part of the fabric of her journey. There's so much that's left out. I mean, I wish, in a broad sense, I wish we had more time to kind of spend on her artistry. I mean, once we realized what the POV of the film was, we decided to kind of let the performances kind of just play out, so you can just experience Tina as a performer, experience her as a vocalist, and not, and didn't have the need of having like populated with a bunch of celebrities saying like, well, you got to understand about her vocal technique is this, hopefully you can just see it and experience it for yourself. Having said that, I think it would have been nice to spend a little bit more time kind of showcasing some of the more standout performances, especially during the Ike and Tina days. And then some of because that's the other thing, she had a career that spanned 6 decades. To be able to see her move and give the same amount of energy on the stage in her 70s and her 60s and 70s that she was doing in her 30s and 40s is something that's also just one of the reasons, right? That's one of the more remarkable aspects of Tina Turner's, her performance prowess. There's that. I think also a lot of people don't realize Tina identifies herself as a performer first, vocalist second. And part of that is because I think she really, at the heart of everything, wanted to be an actress. And so we had moments in the film that kind of had this third storyline of the pursuit of acting that started at a really young age. We had Kurt Loder on the Kurt Loder tapes had an opportunity to talk to her mom, and she tells anecdotes about taking her to the movies and as a kid, and she would come home and emulate the actresses. She talks about this one particular time where she took her to the cinema, and there's like a death scene, and she came home and reenacted the death scene at home, and then just laid there flat on the ground, and she was like pushing her and she wouldn't move. But that, you know, that was the early stages of the origin story of Tina Turner as a performer. And, you know, it would have been nice to incorporate a little bit more of that, you know, aspect of her journey.